For years, the US has been throwing economic punches at China with tariffs, hoping to slow down its growth. The idea is to make Chinese stuff pricier so Americans buy less of it. Simple plan, right? Well, China didn't just sit there and take it. They got crafty. From sneaky trade routes through unsuspecting neighbors to bending global trade rules, China has kept its products flowing into US stores, sometimes right under our noses. But how exactly do they pull it off? And more importantly, what does that mean for your wallet? Let's unravel this thread. Tariffs are basically taxes on imported goods. If you buy a $100 pair of Chinese-made headphones and a 25% tariff makes it $125. The goal is to make Chinese-made products as costly as American ones, which are typically pricier due to higher US labor costs. But it's not that simple. Back in 2018, the US rolled out tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, everything from electronics to furniture. The goal was to slow down China's economic rise and give US businesses a leg up. Think of it like giving American companies a head start in a race. At first, it seemed bold, but here's the catch. Tariffs don't just make Chinese goods pricier for businesses, they hit your wallet too. When companies pay more for imported goods or parts, they're not just going to eat the cost, they pass it right along to you. That $500 TV is suddenly $600. And this isn't just a what if. After tariffs, prices on stuff like washing machines jumped about 12%. So did this help American businesses? Well, kind of. Some US companies did benefit because their goods became more competitive. If an American-made couch was previously much pricier than Chinese import, the gap might have closed enough to sway buyers. But here's the twist. Many US companies rely on Chinese parts to make their American-made products. Think laptops where screens, batteries, and processors often come from China. With tariffs, those parts got more expensive. So even products proudly stamped "Made in the USA" didn't escape the price hikes. US consumers paid an extra $3.2 billion monthly because of tariffs. Money spent on same products at higher prices. Not quite the economic victory the US planned. What about China? At first, their exports took a hit. Fewer shipments to the US meant struggling factories and fewer jobs. But China is no rookie. They quickly pivoted and cooked up some clever workarounds, more on that later, and built new trade relationships with other countries to rely less on the US. So while tariffs aimed to slow China down, they also boosted prices for American consumers and stressed out businesses. It's a tricky game where nobody wins, except maybe the companies that figured out how to dodge the extra costs. Alright, how is China dodging US tariffs? Think of it like playing a global game of tag, except China keeps finding new hiding spots. The first trick? Take the scenic route. Chinese goods often get routed through countries like Vietnam or Mexico, earning a Made in Vietnam or Made in Mexico label before heading to the US. Same product, new identity. In fact, Vietnam exports to the US jumped over 35% in 2019. Coincidence? Not likely. And Vietnam's not alone. Malaysia, Thailand, and even Mexico have seen industries boom thanks to this workaround. Some factories exist mainly to assemble parts, though it's more like giving Chinese goods a quick layover before they hit American shelves. It's product laundering, but legal mostly. Here's another sneaky move: sending products that are almost fully assembled. Picture a TV that's 90% finished arriving into the US. A worker screws the last pieces or sticks on a label, and boom, it's legally made in the USA. This isn't some small loophole, it's a massive one. Electronics like TVs and smartphones are prime examples. Ever notice how many "assembled in the USA" labels you see? Yep, a lot of those started their journey in Chinese factories. And it's not just gadgets, furniture, appliances, basically anything that can be partially finished overseas is fair game for this strategy. The wild part is, everyone wins. China keeps its manufacturing jobs, US companies dodge tariffs, and consumers, well, most don't even realize they are paying a bit more. It's like a magic trick where rabbit's already out of the hat before anyone notices. But China didn't stop there. They're not just dodging tariffs, they are rewriting global trade rules entirely. China has mastered the art of economic diplomacy. Take the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, the world's largest trade pact covering 15 countries, including heavyweights like Japan and South Korea. Combined, these nations make up about 30% of global GDP. With deals like this, Chinese goods can move freely across borders, bypassing US tariffs entirely. China has also established trade agreements with Europe, Africa, and Latin America. If shipping to the US becomes too expensive, China just reroutes to its other trade partners. These deals turn US tariffs from roadblocks to speed bumps. The tariffs didn't push China back, they pushed them forward. Instead of relying on imports, China went into beast mode, leveling up its tech and manufacturing game. Semiconductors, electric cars, AI gadgets, you name it, they are building it. Take Huawei for example. Despite US bans, they didn't fold. They poured money into developing their own tech and chips, becoming even stronger. Then there's BYD, one of the biggest electric car makers globally, not just in China, but everywhere. It's like China said, if you won't sell it to us, fine, we'll just make it ourselves, and maybe even better. In 2021, their semiconductor production skyrocketed nearly 33% as they raced to close the tech gap. And with advances in AI, green energy, and EVs, they're not just playing catch up, they're leading in some areas. Now, let's talk money moves. For decades, the US dollar has been the global trade king, used in oil, tech, even coffee deals. That's a huge advantage for the US. But China's not about to play by those rules forever. Enter the digital yuan, a state-backed digital currency already being used in international trade. Instead of needing US dollars to buy goods from China, countries can now pay directly in yuan. It's faster, cheaper, and more importantly, cuts the dollar out of the deal. China has also signed trade agreements with countries like Russia, Iran, and Brazil, agreeing to settle trades in their local currencies. Between 2014 and 2022, the yuan's share of global trade more than doubled, hitting about 7%. That might seem small, but in financial world, it's a big deal. And let's not forget the Belt and Road Initiative, China's massive infrastructure project connecting over 140 countries. They are not just building roads, ports, and railways, they are planting economic influence everywhere. In many of these regions, the yuan is becoming the default trade currency. But why does it matter? By promoting the yuan, China shields itself from US financial sanctions and lessens the blow of tariffs. It's like saying you can't squeeze us with dollar rules if we are not using dollars. This isn't just about dodging today's tariffs, it's a long-term strategy. If more countries adopt the yuan, the global economy shifts. The US loses some of its financial clout and China gains serious leverage. While the world debates tariffs and trade wars, China's playing financial chess, thinking 10 moves ahead and setting itself up to call more of the shots in the future. What does that mean for you? In one word, wallet pain. Every time you buy electronics, cars, or even groceries, you're footing the bill for this global trade war. Take phones and laptops, for example. When tariffs hit, US companies didn't absorb those extra costs. They passed them straight down to you. And it's not just tech. Cars got pricier too, since many parts come from China. Even your groceries aren't safe. Higher shipping and equipment costs have quietly hiked up prices for your favorite snacks and produce. It's like inflation's sneaky cousin crashing your grocery trip. And then there is shipping. At one point, container costs soared from $2,000 to over $20,000. Think about that. 10 times more to move the same goods. Naturally, those insane expenses have trickled down to nearly everything on store shelves. At the height of trade war, US households were paying about $831 more per year, basically like subscribing to an expensive monthly service you didn't sign up for. Except instead of streaming shows, you're getting higher prices on stuff you actually need. Despite all this, Chinese goods are still everywhere, just arriving through very creative routes. So next time you are wondering why prices seem higher than ever, remember you're caught in the middle of this epic global tug of war. So after all the tariffs, trade routes and currency power plays, who actually comes out on top? Well, it's not as simple as waving a victory flag. In this US-China trade war, both sides have landed punches and taken hits. America did manage to slow down some of China's exports and give a boost to few domestic industries. But here's the deal. American consumers ended up paying billions more for everyday stuff. Prices rose, businesses faced higher costs, and global supply chain became tangled mess. Meanwhile, China adapted like economic ninja. They rerouted exports, strengthened global trade partnerships, and doubled down on tech independence. They played the long game, reshaping global trade while weathering the initial blows. This isn't just about governments or big corporations. It's about us. Every time we buy a phone, car, or even groceries, we are caught in the middle of this global chess match. So what can we do? First, stay informed. Trade wars might sound like political buzzwords, but they hit your wallet hard. Second, support smart policies. Look for policies that encourage fair trade while protecting consumers. Finally, be a conscious buyer. Consider where your products come from and how global economics shape your daily life. The game of international trade isn't going anywhere. It's a high-stakes match with shifting alliances, bold moves, and constant counterplays. The real winners are those who adapt, innovate, and think several moves ahead. Global trade isn't just politics, it's your wallet, your future, and your world. If this video opened your eyes, smash that like button. Share it with someone who needs to know what's really going on, and subscribe to this thread for more eye-opening dives into stories shaping our lives. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe.